Hi. I want to invite you to do a little experiment with me. We're going to take one big breath together. Okay? So let's inhale now. Go as deep as you can and hold it. Now, I want you to pay attention to all the subtle changes that are happening in your body right now. What are you feeling? What are you focusing on? Can you feel your heart beating faster or slower? Where is your eyes focusing on? What became important? As you start to get a little bit more uncomfortable, I want you to stay there 1 second with that anxiousness, that fear. And as you get ready to release the inhale, I want you to remember that last feeling that you had before you did it. You see, on December 2012, I was feeling exactly like that. I had been an entrepreneur for 3 years, and I was staying in a room with our team, deciding what our strategy would be. My heart was pounding so loud that I thought everyone could hear it in the room. Everything looked dark yellow, and all I could think about was how to get out of there. I had been building this company based on a passion, on an idea, on a vision, and all I could do was think about how to get out. But I didn't know where to go. I was exactly where I wanted and always wanted to be at. Everything I had been working towards was right there. So I realized that I had lost the ability to exhale, and I was just holding this long inhale that didn't allow me to breathe anymore. I was living at the edge of a burnout. Now, unfortunately, this story that I'm telling you is not an isolated case. In fact, an article that recently went viral called The Psychological Price of Entrepreneurship talks about the secret price that founders pay whenever they are setting up a company. All the little struggles that we have when we are alone, but that have a direct consequence on our relationships. The sleepless nights, the lack of exercise, the bad eating habits. All these are adding up to anxiety and stress, and they lead to health problems. And they are also all the main causes for premature death. Now, why I want to talk about this today and now and why this is relevant is because 66% of millennials, that is 2 out of 3 people sitting in this room, wants to start a business as their primary career choice. Now, don't get me wrong here. I love entrepreneurship. I am an entrepreneur. And I think there's no more dynamic field right now than to be involved with how things are changing. It is very exciting. However, some things have not changed. They have only gotten greater. When we're an aspiring entrepreneur, we're looking at the 1 billion post-money valuation that the unicorns are setting for us as an aspiration. We're looking as a social entrepreneur to change and impact the lives of 1 billion people. This is a new definition of a billionaire. The stakes keep getting higher. The goal and the vision keeps getting greater. And founders are expected to accelerate, to disrupt, and to be exponential. And as an entrepreneur is expected to have this exponential growth constantly, it normally comes at a cost, and that cost is you. That day back in December 4 years ago, I did walk out and I got home. When I got home, I started crying the 1 billion tears of frustration that I had. I had made so many changes in my life to be exactly there where I was standing with that idea and business and project that we had built together. I realized, though, it was hard to recognize what was happening in my internal self, in my inner awareness, when all I was doing outside was making external decisions all the time. I had lost touch with myself. And it was not a problem with what I was doing or why I was doing it. It was a problem with how I was doing it. I had entered a space where I did not know how I was actually living my everyday days. You see, if you want to change a how, you need to shift perception. And that day, during the crying, I decided that I was going to become a mindful entrepreneur. I had to make a commitment to make everything that I was doing my laboratory of learning and growth. Everything that would happen should create a bigger space for me to be able to be a better version of myself, to be able to breathe better. I believe in growth, and I made it my personal mission to create a process where me and my team could become ourselves while working on the things we loved. So there were 3 shifts that I wanted to share with you that I fundamentally understood and started integrating. Now, the important point is that whenever you start making changes inside of yourself, only once they're integrated within you, you will be able to see them reflected on your business. So you really need to commit to that self-change as a first step in order to be able to see how they become part of your reality. The first shift that I did was moving from the responsibility of always having to know everything to entering a space where I would give myself the possibility of not knowing. You see, we're in a world that is always looking for answers, for solutions, and I need to explain to everyone why I'm walking from here to here. But the reality is, many times I do not know what that answer is, and I just answer something based on the top of my head. That answer is not authentic. It's not coming from a place where I let this answer emerge. There are some questions that we are facing today that do not have a clear answer, and it is okay to be in a place where you don't know. So, the mindful entrepreneur is really the one holding the space for you not to know, for your team not to know, and opening the doors for possibilities, for exploration, and for other voices to come in and help. The uncertainty and innocence and the vulnerability that you experience in saying, I don't know, help me, is one that we need to bring back. Because that is the one shift that can happen so that we can face the external pressures that are always wanting to know. If you can hold a question, that curiosity, that uncertainty, you can find ways to move towards the truth. And instead of spending all of your energy defending the one truth that you said at the beginning. The second shift that I did was to drop the belief that the business and you are the same thing. You see, when you go out, people will start asking you how you are. And they're actually asking you how your business is doing. So this is how we have become interconnected with what we are doing every day. We measure our self-value to that of the success of the business. And if we really want to be open to failure and be open to new possibilities and be able to see those exit roads of how we're doing things, we need to not identify with what we're doing 100%. Basically, the mindful entrepreneur sees herself as the recipient of an idea, accepts a challenge, and does not attach to it. Business has its own soul. Every idea has its own reason to be. So the mindful entrepreneur looks more at the business as a partnership. Its identity, its brand will speak to your customers, to your partners, and your investors. It has its own way of communicating. You see, when I started my current business, my personal mission was to be the most authentic version of myself. The business's vision was to bring the most authentic sides of cities. And that's how the name actually emerged, and the company is called Authenticities, reminding us of the common mission that we share and that we're doing and building together. Finally, the third shift that I put into my life to become a more mindful entrepreneur was to one, moving away from control and entering a space of radical transparency and trust. The responsibility to communicate anything and everything, welcoming our feelings and allowing people in your team to express themselves and their potential of what they are and who they're feeling is a great way to understand people better. And entrepreneurship and everything in life really is about relationships, it's about people. So the more that I understand you and who you are, the more I'm able to do my business better and the more I'm able to bring change to the world. And this requires for me to really sit down and understand what I'm feeling. We have not been taught this, so we really need to understand what our emotions are saying to us and how they represent what we see. You see, if we see each other, if we really see each other from the beginning, I know that I'm attracting and working with the people that are not only just my providers, but that are actually my family and supporting our growth together. And this is the family that we're building around what we're doing. And all the 3 shifts are just very personal. These are the things that I found for myself and what I have been applying in this since I had that one moment. And it is really about making a commitment to changing how you will do things. I committed to finding the most vulnerable place inside myself and facing that fear of not knowing. I committed to unveiling my most authentic self. And I committed to being open to trusting and owning the feelings that I have and those of others. I was setting a new definition of success for myself instead of allowing others to set it for me. Because I choose to be healthy and grow my business and bring forth that impact from the best version of myself, not the worst version that I had before. So I just want to invite you today to find, explore, and look for what is the best way for you to build or go on in the world with whatever you're doing. You need to experiment. But I just wanted to leave you with one simple last secret that will let you know if you have found the right shift for you. And that is that you will be able to breathe life like you never have before. Keep breathing. Thank you.